It gives you great satisfaction in knowing that you're helping people because you want to, you don't have to. It makes you sleep good at night because you know that there are those who feel better because, as I often say, my ugly old face was there to cheer them up.
We're just as much a part of Valley View as the employees are, and I hope our presence is well liked by the community.
Overall, I think if our hospital didn't have them, they would hurt in more ways than one. For one, a lot of our volunteers can interact with patients and make them feel better by just being their friend when they come in. If we didn't have them, we would have to hire someone to take their place, because we would have to have someone to do a lot of the things that the volunteers do for us.
We used to play ladder and basketball.
They talk to them and make them feel more comfortable when they come in, because if you come to the hospital, you don't want to be here. You're sick, you don't feel good. A lot of times it's just them saying something to them, and a lot of them they know. It just makes them feel better to know somebody cares.
I just love the people. I think that's the main thing. And if I can make somebody happy or do something for somebody, it makes me happy.
For 60 years, the men and women of the Valley View Auxiliary, the very first of its kind in the state, have been providing care in one form or another for the hospital's patients. From knitting caps for newborn babies to providing funds to purchase cutting-edge medical equipment, the auxiliary maintains a legacy of care and volunteerism that is unmatched in Oklahoma.
The auxiliary got started in 1947. A group of physicians' wives got together with a group of church women in Ada, and they formed the first auxiliary. There were 15 of them in 1947.
The Valley View Auxiliary joined the American Hospital Association in 1951, and 10 years later the organization became incorporated. Originally, members of the auxiliary took a more hands-on approach to patient care and were essentially volunteer nurses. They were trained by nursing administrators and helped bathe patients, deliver meals, and prepare rooms. They also delivered mail, magazines, and flowers to patients' rooms, which they still do today.
From what I understand it, when they first started, they were more nurses' aides than what we do today, which we don't have a lot of that today. But they actually made beds and helped the nurses. I actually have one lady that used to do that, and she told me that they actually changed the beds. And so today we don't do that. We don't have as much actual patient contact. It's more errands, taking patients different places.
Public relations became a primary function of the Valley View Auxiliary in the early days. Members took it upon themselves to spruce up the hospital wherever they could, and worked hard to put smiles on patients' faces. The auxiliary even conducted hospital tours for the general public. Fundraising was a major component of their public relations efforts. In 1955, just 8 years after it formed, the Valley View Auxiliary provided air conditioning to the hospital for the first time. The auxiliary opened the gift shop in 1958. Half a century later, it remains one of the hospital's primary fundraisers.
Oh, so we have a big selection of that.
Yes, chickens are big.
And these are always those are good. Yeah.
These are a favorite
have you
down
had
here.
One of those?
Oh yes. Do you have any favorite scents?
Not really.
That's cute. And only slightly annoying. Yes.
Just a few years after the Valley View Auxiliary formed, it started a unique fundraising tradition. The Ada Antics, a variety show directed by a professional but starring all local talent. The first Ada Antics hit the stage in 1950, with the goal being to raise enough money to add a permanent polio ward at the hospital. The show became a huge success and was repeated for many years to come. That success was translated directly into improved medical care. Since 1967, the auxiliary has donated more than $500,000 in equipment at the hospital.
We have some of the nicest equipment that you can find in any operating room, and many things that have been purchased for that operating room have been purchased through the auxiliary. we needed to buy a new pediatric scope in order to be able to handle our pediatric population. It was a $17,000 scope. Put a request in for the auxiliary, and through their sales of the gift shop and the other things that they do, they purchased this for us.
Because we only got one pair of smalls, and she's a little.
As healthcare has evolved, the duties of the auxiliary members have changed somewhat. Some duties have gone away, some have stayed the same, and new ones have been created.
There are 4 areas that we keep staffed all day long, Monday through Friday, and that's the gift shop, admitting, information desk, and the surgery waiting room. And then we have several areas that individuals work for, just like a certain department. They do everything from making copies, running errands, deliveries, taking patients different places. They have a wide variety of duties.
They are invaluable to the operating room. The OR at Valley View does approximately 7,000 cases annually. Each patient that comes to our operating room is greeted by one of the volunteers, which means that our volunteers get to work with both the patients and the patient's family. If you look at the amount of contact that they have with the community, they probably see over 20,000 people from Ada every year that come through our operating room.
There's usually different colors. I put pillows in the boxes in different rooms and give pillows out to the patients and everything. And make sure the visitors have snacks. I go to the kitchen and do that. If anybody needs anything, they call me because I know where everything is.
They take our patients where they need to go. If they need to go to lab, x-ray, surgery, to their room, they escort them there. They escort them to the different areas. They help us with our paperwork. When we print out our registration papers, they'll bring them to us. They make the copies for us. Anything we ask them to do, if they can do it, they do it.
The Valley View Hospital Auxiliary is made up entirely of volunteers. In the last decade alone, hospital officials estimate the auxiliary has donated an average of 29,000 hours a year. Although the reasons might vary, all members of the auxiliary consider it a labor of love.
Hello there, how may I help you? Storeroom. Well, just come on in, the door's unlocked. It's a very rewarding time to be with people who are frightened, sick, worried, in sorrow because they're possibly have had someone die unexpectedly or tragically.
The auxiliary is a special, they're not an organization, but they're a special group of people. They have to care and they want to help. And they're not getting paid anything for it. They're doing this out of the kindness of their heart and because they want to do it.
I worked at Valley View 26 years and took care of my wife for the last 8.5 years. She died in February, and I'm just kind of trying to pay back Valley View for all the good things they did for me.
Some people say, I don't have time. Everybody has 4 hours a week that they could come out here and volunteer. Some of them say, if you want off, you have to get somebody to work in your place. Well, I'm chairman of my department out here, and if they need to get off, all they have to do is call me. I'll work for them, or we'll get somebody else to work for them. But there's big excuses of why they don't want to come out and volunteer. But they don't know what they're missing. They don't know what they're missing.
The auxiliary has been a fixture at Valley View Hospital for 60 years and are as important to the community as the doctors and nurses who practice there. It's a strong, reliable group, almost angelic in nature, and absolutely critical to the proper care of the hospital's patients.
You meet lots of friends. It's a loving hospital. This is my second home.
I think the hospital would be sad without the auxiliary. They are their best ambassadors.
You couldn't find a better job anywhere, and nobody could pay you enough money to make you be as happy as you are doing something that helps others.